The Athene Real Talk Podcast explores controversial ideas to stimulate debate and active thinking. These ideas do not always reflect Athene's personal views. Welcome to the Athene Real Talk Podcast.
He has been called the best gamer in the world, hands down.
World-famous gamer and philanthropist Athene.
Gaming for Good, it's called, has raised more than $20 million.
Using his notoriety to raise money for charity.
On activism, science, culture, and self-development.
Proud to have him in the studio today. I would not want to take you on in a video game.
So basically, making sense your core value on a fundamental level. A lot of people were asking me how to do it. And I was always saying, like, you figure it out and tell me, so then I can explain other people how you did it for the people like you. But I was breaking my head, is there no universal map that works for everyone? And I found it. You guys are gonna have to use all your intelligence in order to wrap your head around it though. I will make a video about it. I was actually thinking about making a video about it before I start streaming, but I had so many potential talks and stuff that I didn't get to make the video because I'm gonna make a video about this. So basically, making sense your core subconscious emotional level of value is something what translates into your desire of making sense in any given moment in time, right? So basically it's actually a fix for everything. Being able to find the map to locate that insight within you, to locate that treasure, brings about, like life-changing awareness. And I've been talking to a lot of people here, but now what I figured out is I had it wrong. You might say, what do you mean? I had it wrong by trying to find a map to locate the treasure. It's the other way around. You might say, what the fuck are you talking about? You have the treasure already and you got to draw the map. And drawing the map is your neural pathways. And some people already have some parts of that map with certain values, but they also have parts that are completely different. So you got to use making sense to strengthen the values that you already have that make sense and discard the ones that don't make sense. And by doing so, you create the map, which is the neural network in your brain. So for some people, this is good news. For some people, this is bad news. People that thought it was a shortcut. For some, it is. Some people that have a lot of things in their life that already do make sense, making sense their core value, just having this insight can be life-changing quite quickly. But for those people that have a life where not so much makes sense, you gotta just take what you value the most, grab the parts that do make sense, strengthen them, and use this treasure of making sense to draw the rest. There you go, guys. You guys have the treasure right now, all of you. All of you guys have the treasure right now in your hands. You just gotta start drawing. And the draw is your fucking neural pathways. The reason why I figured it out is because Reese had an easier time of doing it. Ricardo had an easier time of doing it. Nolan had an issue to do it. And I was saying, like, you gotta let everything go. But the moment he did that, he really felt like in a limbo. He said, I don't know what I even have to think. And then I realized, like, yeah, but because he says, like, yeah, I would then have to leave and stuff. But the thing is, like, what he was doing is he was letting go everything, including the parts of him that are already making sense. And that was the mistake. And that's when I made the click, like, wait. It is about using what is already part of who you are and make sense within your core values, strengthen these and discard the parts that don't make sense. So let's say, for example, you want to fit in, like Nolan. He wants to fit in here, right? He wants to do good. He's doing good. Then when he reflects on his core value, what he has to do is he doesn't have to throw away everything that has to do with fitting in. He just has to throw away the part that means that he wants to do it because of fitting in, because his actions are already there. And if you have that insight, validation-seeking mindset is no issue. If you do good because I tell you, and you do it to impress me, if you do all these things that are good, that is fine. If these things make sense on themselves, that is fine. What you have to work on is not discard everything, but it's only discarding doing it for me. But all these pathways that you already created that already make sense, you can still use them. It's like if you go through life, right, and you've been a validation bitch, and suddenly you get an insight, you're gonna throw out your entire life that had to do with that validation. Doesn't make any sense, right? You keep what made sense, you keep strengthening that, and you discard what doesn't make sense. So you might say, like, yeah, where do I start? You start where your core value is. Let's say it's love. Let's say it's family. Let's say it's friendship. You look at what does make sense in this value and you strengthen that. Let's say family is a core value, like taking care of your value. Like, is it good to take care and help your family? You could argue, yes. Is it good to the extent where it doesn't really help them, but you're just chasing it? No, it only is good when you actually do help them. Okay, so you keep that part. It makes sense. Does it make sense that because you care about your family and you want to help them, that you also have to do what they tell you and fit in? No, that doesn't make sense, because you get to choose for yourself your life. So basically what you're doing is just reevaluating the parts in yourself that make sense and the parts that don't make sense, and the treasure is making sense, is what guides you throughout the path. There you go, guys. Life is complete. You guys can go all home now. You might say you're already home. Maybe that's a nice analogy, but yeah, there you go. Lord Cheater says, what if there is nothing that makes sense in your core value? No, there is tons of shit. Let's say your core value is comfort. Then you could say, like, the reason why comfort is my core value is because comfort allows me to live my life more fulfilled, right? Because if you have comfort that is really uncomfortable, you can't really call that comfort, right? So you want to be comfortable. If comfort is your value, it's because you want to be comfortable. But if you sit on your ass and you get fatter and fatter and fatter, and you feel like you want to work out, then you think the comfort you have is not really the comfort in its action. So what you do is you go like, working out will make me feel more comfortable. So you use your value and apply it where it makes sense. Because even something like comfort, you can feel more comfortable working out than sitting on your ass. You can feel more comfortable eating healthy. You'll feel literally more comfortable because your stomach won't be as painful. You'd have an easier time taking a shit. You'd have more comfortable sleep. So even if comfort is your fucking core value, you can still make it work. And as you grow, you start using that, you start working out, eating healthy, because it is more comfortable. You gotta think about it. Yeah, actually, it is more comfortable. It's not so comfortable to sit on my ass all day in, day out. It's not comfortable to play games all day. It doesn't satisfy, like it's becoming a drag. Well, then it's not comfortable anymore. And that's a lot of the times when people walk out of their comfort zone, is because the way they live a comfortable life is forcing them outside the comfort zone. And that's when a lot of people pick up their shit. They start realizing that their comfort life is not so comfy after all.
At AtheneLive, do you suggest that we try doing that by constantly being aware of making sense, or by meditating on it? I assume it's both, but if you have any more specific ideas that would help, smiley face.
Thank you, Big Shiny Mew. What I would suggest is that you apply making sense on overall your life. So when you experience certain dissonance, you figure it out constantly. You just go through life with making sense as your guidance. And you look in your life what makes sense, you strengthen that, and you weaken what doesn't make sense. And through neuroplasticity, you will just automatically start making more and more and more sense. And I do think like working out is quite important, and eating healthy. I do think that's quite important. And the beauty about working out and eating healthy, I would say working out even more important. The beauty about working out is the moment you do it, you have immediately the benefits. That's the beauty of working out. And it makes you, more sharp. Eating healthy as well is really, really good, but the benefits are not as immediate. With Big Guy says, what happens if I can't make sense? Everybody can make sense, man. I mean, you can say 2 + 2 is 4, right? In order to say 2 + 2 is 4, in order to understand that, you need to make sense on one level of the other. Just cognitive dissonance is a result of a certain level of, your ability to spot conflict, and that is already requires rationality. Mazda, do you think setting life goals such as money, career, woman, and such things is immoral? Your only life goal should be making sense. The only one, nothing else. Your core value should be making sense, nothing else. The moment you make that your value or your goal, everything will happen automatic. Athene, is the shortcut or the long road to making sense? Shima for the win? It is the shortcut and the long road. Both of them at the same time. Because you already got the treasure. You just gotta apply it to draw the map. So you can say like, is it a shortcut or the long run? Like, it's already there. You guys all already have it. You just gotta apply it now. And that's the thing. When I was thinking about it, I was like, how come for certain people it clicks immediately and for others it doesn't? The amount to which people managed to completely absorb it was the extent to which their neural pathways already made sense. And that's why if you go through life making sense, you can literally discard one after the other. Strengthen the things in you that make sense, weaken the things in you that don't make sense, and you will make sense. It will become your desire automatic, it will grow, and if that is your life goal, if that is what you focus on, it's what you will become. And it starts right now, even with the small things, even with the stuff that makes you angry. If you get angry because you fucked up, what do you rather want? Fall back into the idea of judgmental expectations, or fall back in this warm, cozy place where you try to figure it out what went wrong instead and do something about it? If you can choose between the two, you will fucking damn quickly start making sense of the situation because it's more pleasant. You don't want to beat yourself up. Whenever you make a mistake, you don't want to tell like, oh, you're a fucking bitch, you're a loser. No, you rather want to understand why you did it. So if you have making sense as a coach, as a life coach, within you, a part in you, and whenever you really screw up or whenever you really feel bad, you can go to that part in you and you will try to understand it. You don't blame yourself anymore. You try to understand it instead. Isn't that much more comfortable? I'd much rather do that than beat myself up over it. Athene, but you're saying that you have core values. If their core values are money, career, and woman, is that immoral? It's about finding the parts in your core values that do make sense and strengthen them. I mean, money is, in a sense, important to survive. But is it really what your life is about? Of course not. So you just strengthen the part where you go like, oh, having a minimum amount of money can be handy. I'll go about it more efficiently. If you have woman, like, is woman bad? No, woman can actually help you. Can be in line with what makes sense. Do you cling on it and your life depends on it? Of course not. It's just an addition. Career, like, how do you define career? Do you define career doing something that makes you a lot of money? Or do you define career something you really feel like makes a lot of sense and you can grow into? Because if that's what it is, you can even use what you just said, all these values, you can take the best out of it and strengthen that and discard the stuff that doesn't make sense. Of course, they won't be experienced as core value, but it's a nice transition. Because like the problem that I had, I was thinking that it was too much like a click. And for some people, it is a click. For some people, it's really like, holy shit. But for some people, it is a journey. But the beauty is you have a lamp that shows you the direction where to walk. And that lamp is making sense. Of course, if you have a lamp, you're not gonna walk against walls. You're gonna go around them, right? It doesn't make sense to walk against a fucking wall. You just have a lamp and you go around. And you explore with the world, life. Things make sense. You will automatically start making sense. If something you did, if you were carrying around, suddenly you see like, oh shit, I'm carrying around all this shit I don't need. You just let it go. You just let it go. And you just suddenly feel so much more free. And you go like, why did I carry all this shit? I can just walk around without all this bullshit. I have this light. This light shows me literally the light. I just point it and I can think, use my reason to figure out whether this is good or bad for me. Of course, you'll have like setbacks when you make the wrong conclusion or whatever, but if you keep using making sense as your guidance, you will only grow. Athene, we have a lamp to guide us, but is it possible to find the light switch? You know, I will give you a really good metaphor. The light switch is the moment that you just follow the light and you only see light. That is the light switch. When you only follow what makes sense. Of course, if you look around, you go like, where is the light switch? What all this darkness? But you don't need all this darkness. You just need what makes sense. It's when you experience choiceless awareness, one direction, making sense, that's it. All the rest is irrelevant. So you don't need a switch to see everything around you. You can point around and waste your time or think or imagine. But at the end of the day, your path is very clear. To start talking metaphors here. Metaphors, so does it make sense to study math? Does it make sense to make tons of money? Does it make sense to play games? Well, think about it. I will answer like, by the way, morality is not what makes sense. Deluxe, like morality does make sense. The reason why morality doesn't make sense is because we haven't been able to explain it yet. But now we do. With science, with evolutionary biology, with neuroscience, we can explain morality. And actually I made an explanation here, and I explained it to a guy here that came over, and he said like, yeah, morality, why would we take care of the weaker? And I said, you know why? Because it's in your own self-interest. He goes like, how does that work? Okay. Do you know how MAD works? Mutual assured destruction, right? Imagine you're at a point where you can just destroy everybody below you, right? But the same applies to the one below you. What do? You make peace, right? You could even argue that the US and Russia is very similar. Russia has a weaker economy, yet still they don't go to war because else the world is fucked, right? So now imagine if you apply that to AI. Let's say AI has the ability to destroy all of us. You could say like, imagine AI can do it without getting in trouble. What about if the AI evolves? Or if there's another like little sidetrack that evolves even more? It has to start stopping and slowing down progress because its own superiority would destroy itself. That's why, because of mutual assured destruction, it is in your own benefit to not destroy the weaker, but to respect it. It's just pure logical. That's why aliens or advanced AI will not end up killing us. Because if they would have that mindset, they would already have destroyed themselves. But we destroy our other life forms without destroying ourselves. Hebron, the thing is like, us destroying life forms is because of our inability to understand what we are. I am very respectful towards other life forms. Of course, there's always compromises you have to make, but overall it's quite minor damage compared to how unaware people go about life.
Can everybody type in what they value the most on an emotional level, subconscious level? What is your core value? Because the reason why I'm checking it, it's actually a shame. Like last time when I was asking, there was 3 or 4 people saying knowledge and wisdom. And I had a guy that applied about knowledge and wisdom, and I said like, why knowledge and wisdom and not making sense? And he only realized throughout the conversation that knowledge is a mean and not an end. And he said like, oh yeah, like actually it makes a lot more sense to make sense my core value rather than knowledge. And I said like, what allowed you to make the connection? And he said this. So this is for people that have knowledge as their core value or wisdom. He said that the reason why knowledge was his core value is because the world, he was frustrated about the world not having all answers and how ignorance is causing so much damage to the world. And his search for absolute truths has made him knowledge being his core value, because it's a way of explaining, you know, it's a way of fighting that, combating it. And I said like, well then if that is the case, you got fucking damn lucky that you got into the altruistic path as well, because knowledge is very wide. You can be fascinated by economy and knowledge about economy and read about that shit for your entire life basically. But for this, it's like he was also into like evolutionary biology and stuff, and because of that he felt the knowledge path core value has led him more to altruistic thinking because he read about that. But the thing is like, if you switch it around and you realize how knowledge is just a tool, and making sense out of this knowledge and being able to apply it is what gives you really the ability to combat ignorance, then suddenly it makes more sense to have that as a core value. I don't know if that works, but it's just something he said. I think that's the thing, if you have knowledge and you apply sense, it's still knowledge, isn't it? Isn't knowledge the end station of making sense? Making sense is aligning your beliefs with reality. It's a process where you align it. It's more towards action and taking action. It's an active process. Knowledge itself can be stored on a USB stick. It's what you do with it. It's, you know, how you apply it. It's a tool. Knowledge is a tool. But I wonder why that is. Why would making sense suddenly, like, isn't the dissonance that you experience when you make sense rather a good thing? So basically you start questioning and wondering why, you know, like, doesn't it help you face your issues and work on them? And that is the experience you feel. Because like, I've seen some people on the subreddit say like, yeah, I was always procrastinating, and actually this making sense has made me start working out and eating more healthy, and I feel much better. But like, maybe there is a small moment where the person just stands up, goes like, fuck this shit, why am I doing this? But like afterwards, the return is much more, like, I don't know. I guess you need some dissonance to start taking things into your own hands. But at the same time, I do think that feeling empty or feeling worthless or whatever, these feelings that you would experience as a result of making sense would mean that you don't really understand what is bringing about this sense of worthless or feeling bad. Because if you understand the emotions that are caused, like let's say you suddenly feel futile because you feel gaming it doesn't make sense, and everything you enjoy doesn't make sense, then suddenly what you wonder is like, okay, so why do I feel as if what I've been doing doesn't make sense? Maybe it's because you're running away. Maybe it's because there's other things you have to take into hands, and doing so, you realize that doing so would make you even more fulfilled and happy, right? You would even enjoy more. So like if making sense makes you play less video games and start working out and eating more healthy, you could say like the part that I did enjoy playing games all day, it's not that you didn't enjoy playing games all day, it's rather that working out and taking care of yourself and eating more healthy will make you enjoy life even more, right? And that is where you feel quite some dissonance running away. Or I'm just trying to understand, of course. So Stu says, for example, I like to go to the gym, right? It makes sense, but not to the extent that I do it. And I'd like to work within the industry as a coach or nutritionist. But it all looks futile because I could be contributing in a more important way. That's basically my case. Okay. But that's a good thing though. Like honestly, that's a good thing. And what I mean with that is like being able to push your limits to have a bigger and bigger impact is a good thing. But it doesn't mean that, your life is futile or something. It means that you see yourself, you see what you're doing, and you see like, I can do more. I think that's that would be rather...
By the way, I've been trying this out and it's helped a lot. Whenever I am pulled to do anything that doesn't make sense, I scare myself with the dissonance I will feel rather than the slight pleasure.
Thank you for the donation. I will give that tip after I just explain this. That's interesting what you say there, if that works for people, because I really like to think about what works for people. But either way, I think it's more like a motivation thing. So Stu, if I would look at, like as a nutritionist or a fitness coach, you see that and you see that you can achieve that, and then you start wondering and balancing and go like, actually I can do more. That is something I would see that as more like a motivational thing, because that means that you feel like you're capable to do even more. Isn't that isn't that rather a good thing than a bad thing? I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud. Because a lot of it is framing it for yourself,
Subscribe to youtube.com/AtheneWins. Watch the live stream at twitch.tv/AtheneLive and follow The Real Athene on Snapchat.